Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Everything PT. My name is Manelia Plummer, and I am the founder of this podcast, as well as a physical therapist assistant. As the title may already say, we're going to be talking about everything involved in physical therapy, whether that is a diagnosis, whether that is traits that you should have as a therapist. We're going to be talking about literally the physical therapy world. So with that being said, let's kind of go and move forward. Don't forget to follow. You guys can follow me on YouTube as well, just under Manelia Plummer. And that basically shows you even more things about the physical therapy world that I've shown and created, different things like how not to burn out, how to become a PT, and all those great things. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to that channel over there. So first things first, I wanted to introduce myself. Again, Manelia Plummer. I am a physical therapist assistant working in an outpatient setting, which this is just my belief. I believe the outpatient setting is like one of the best settings to work for because you see a variety of patients and you kind of are a little bit knowledgeable on a little bit of everything, It's not like acute setting where you're kind of seeing a certain type. Anything walks through the door, you have to be able to treat, whether that's low back pain, shoulder, knee, cervical, whatever it is, outpatient has probably done it. So with that being said, I worked under a young man named David Whitaker, who we refer to as the knee guru. So I am like very educated in total knee replacements and stuff like that. He has like just really broadened my knowledge on the knee, the joint itself, and all that stuff. So that is actually my preferred thing to work with in the treatment setting is like the knee. I love the knee. I love that joint. It actually kind of leads up to why I became a therapist. When I was in high school, I tore my ACL for the first time, and that was a journey. It was a recovery, and honestly, I took it for granted, physical therapy. I took physical therapy for granted. My therapist, he would give me homework and I never completed it. And it got so bad that I started building up scar tissue and I was not able to extend my leg nor bend my leg to where it needed to be, which was preventing me from doing the thing that I love to do the most, which was basketball. So luckily for me, I fell down a slide and retore it, and they were able to go back in and pretty much fix it up. And that is when I knew that physical therapy is important, that I wanted to be involved in this community. And just, I became very obsessed with the body's ability to heal itself through modalities, therapeutic activities and exercises, and neuromuscular activities. So that became a small obsession for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, like our body can do so much if you train it to be that way. So with that being said, I got through that, got my knee back right, and I started playing again. And then boom, my senior night playing basketball, I tore my ACL again, but on the opposite leg, because you become very dependent of that other leg. And there was this form of fear that I had built up in myself because I did not want to be injured again because that journey was so long. And I was just like, I didn't want to be injured again. So I played with fear. I was not the same basketball player that I was before. And yeah, that was really rough for me. So I just remember laying in bed that night of re-tearing it for the third time. And I just began to think to myself, like, God, what are you doing here? Like, why do I keep getting injured? Like, I thought you wanted me to be a WNBA player. Like, what is this? And I felt in my spirit that God was saying, become a therapist. So I began to follow the steps to become a therapist. I started shadowing, just learning about the field. And what I noticed was that I really loved the setting and the meaning behind physical therapy. And it became just so personal to me because, again, my therapist, and I haven't even told you guys about my therapist, but the therapist that I had, he was hardcore. Like, he didn't play any games. At this time, they believed in aggressive stretching, which in some way, form, I believe in aggressive stretching as well with certain personality types. But he would just lay me prone and just crank the knee, like bend it, extend it. And I remember being in those sessions like boohoo crying, screaming, like other patients were looking at me. But he was like, we need to get this done. We need to get you back to your prior living and function. And as much as I did not like him in that moment, he actually became one of the most important people to my recovery. And that's actually one thing that I tell my patients all the time. I'm like, you might not like me in this journey, but when you walk out that door and you're back to where you used to be, you will thank me. So I tell them we will have a love-hate relationship. And I have had patients cry, and not only are you dealing with the physical aspect of being impaired, but there's the mental that comes with it. So I do have patients. The other day I had a patient and she's gotten into a really bad car accident. And one of the things that she says is, she's afraid to just be in a car at a stoplight because that is where the car accident happened for her. It kind of gives her PTSD. So there is that mental aspect of it. And so that's tough. That's very tough to cope with. And one of the things that I also say, you guys will hear a lot of things that I say to my patients, but one of the things that I also say is I am your therapist and your therapist. And a lot of that will go over some people's head. But when you're spending an hour with patients, believe me, you will know what they're going through. You will know what they're healing through, as well as what's on their mind. And, as much as we would like to think that life is all peaches and cream, it isn't. I've had patients that have lost their children. I have had patients that have lost their mom. The other day I had a patient and she lost her mom, and she came into therapy. And honestly, I just took the time to listen to her. It was almost impossible for me to do treatment. She was crying. And so, that was tough. And I feel like it's not talked about enough, but there is this mental thing that comes with injury or just your everyday life on top of your injury. And that is to be addressed. And spending an hour with a patient, you have to learn how to work around those things and be a therapist and a therapist. So guys, this was just my introductory. I wanted to let you guys know who I was. As far as what's to come, just look at the title, Everything PT. We're going to be talking about the physical therapy world. I want to talk about Dr. Icks. I want to talk about diagnoses that I love working with, that I don't like working with. Let's end with this. I wanted to kind of end with a cool question that I'm probably going to start to do in the beginning of the next episode. But what is my favorite muscle? So my favorite muscle is the piriformis. I feel like the piriformis has helped me solve a lot of patients' problems. For those who know, there's this thing called piriformis syndrome, and about 30% of sciatic nerve patients have this syndrome, where if you address this piriformis issue, you can actually fix their problem. So there has been many times in treatments where I would do a release on that piriformis and the patient gets literally instant relief. They come back the next session and tell me that their sciatic pain that was once going to their foot is now in their knee, and it's centralizing a little bit more. So because that specific muscle kind of helps me a lot, because I work with a lot of sciatic nerve patients, that is literally my favorite muscle. Again, it's just one of those things where if I do have a sciatic nerve patient, that is the first thing that I'm going to look at. Is it piriformis syndrome? But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am very excited for this journey. One thing I forgot to mention is that I am on the road to becoming a DPT, and I'll kind of take you guys on that journey and kind of let you guys know how that's going. But again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Manelia Plummer. And again, thank you so much. Bye-bye.